Dunamis, it means power, force, or ability. Inherent power, supernatural power, divine power. All the way from the state of Illinois, migrating to Alabama, heard about Villa Rica, took a leap of faith, did not want to come to Georgia, and I landed in a place that I never knew about, but it's a great place. A lot of struggles, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of tears, a lot of joy, a lot of laughter, a lot of passivity, But at the end of the day, it was a great passion because I understand what was given to me for His purpose. Not only purpose to fulfill, but the purpose for my life.
Growing up as a kid, I wanted to be an actress. That was number one. I wanted her to move to California, uproot her life, and I pursue an acting career. And she was like, heck no. So I was mad for a little bit, but then I always had a mouth. I always had a mouth on me. People always tell me I talk too much. And so I said, well, I'm gonna pursue law. So literally ever since being a child, probably around 10 years old, I always said I was gonna be a lawyer. That was the only path that I wanted to do. That was the only goal. And so when I went to college, I was still focused on law. I wanted to go pursue law, go graduate, and I didn't get into law school. So because I'm so resilient, and there was one particular school I wanted to go to that I didn't get into, I don't go look for other options. It was just like, that's what I wanted, and that door didn't open, and so what else is left? And so she turned our childhood home into a transitional living home. So there were women that were living in my bedroom. There were women that were there every Saturday morning for emotional healing clinic. So when I would come home for spring break, it'd be like, Ariel, and I'd be like, I don't know you, right? Like, just stay far away from me. And still in this mindset, I'm gonna be a lawyer. I don't have anything to do with these hurt people. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what this is about. I love God, don't get me wrong. Honestly, did not want to be anything like her. I think being constantly compared to her, growing up, looking like her, ooh, that's little Dee, y'all have the same birthday, ooh, you look just like your mama. I wanted to do everything that was completely opposite of what she was doing. I just did not want the comparison. And so I was trying to find my own path and my identity. So coming back home was probably the last thing that I wanted to do, because it was just like, now I have to look at this mirror that everyone kind of, associated me with all my life.
I used to get young men out of prison. Severe criminal activity, mindsets, hurting young men, predominantly ages 13 to 25, brought them into my custody. So that was per se ministry to me in the streets, in the thick of things. That literally folded after I invested so much of my time, energy, but it was a great thing in 2000. And from that year, it literally shifted me into going back into the community in my own way without having contracts from the Department of Corrections or Children and Family Services, which was really where I was serving, in that capacity. And so that's when I started literally Dunamis Community Advocate Services, going out in the communities, because the same criminal activity that I was seeing with those young men, I was seeing it in the communities, in the homes, in the churches. And so instead of somebody giving me something, I create something. And that's literally how it started. And then from there, marriage. From there, another ministry, which was emotional healing clinics that I facilitated in my home. And it just continued to progress until it ended up digressing.
I was a hurting young woman. I lived my life in college doing what I wanted to do, but my soul was in a lot of pain, a lot of ill will, a lot of frustration of my path not going the way that it wanted to be. I didn't think though that I needed healing because I was connected to the healer. And it was like, okay, I could just put on a mask and I can be good. And so coming home to see women every Saturday go through emotional healing, be taught by her, hearing the things that was taught, I really believe that God had to work within my soul, which I tell people all the time, that healing isn't for the hurt people, it's for the humble people. And he really had to humble me to say, you need my healing power just like these women. Your hurt may not be just like them, but at the end of the day, you're putting on a mask, you're putting on a facade, you're not being the real authentic version of who I thought that you would be, or who I thought that I would be. And so that was just humbling in itself, to have to sit there and go through my own process in my own unique way.
Divorce, letting go of whom I loved in the natural realm, and also what I loved, which was the ministry that I had built there. You know, it wasn't more so about the building, it was about the people. I had put a lot of work into hurting people, teaching about healing, and literally I lost everything. I lost my home that I raised the children in. I lost every car that I ever bought. I lost all of my savings, all of my bank account money. I lost all of the things that I have ever worked for, acquired, as well as achieved. So the pressure is really what caused the marriage to go backwards, which is the cause of us not really being together today.
Were you angry?
I was very angry. I was angry with God. I have no problem with saying that. Angry probably with myself as well. When you have given up everything for what you believe and for whom you believe, and it does not pan out the way you believe that it will come out, it will produce an anger inside of you that you got to get in touch with. And I had to shift my mindset. Devetta, are you going to let this be a righteous anger to create change, or are you going to let it be a destructive anger to continue to take you down and everybody else with you? You know, so it was a pivotal point in my life. You know, it's okay to be angry. Even it says in Ephesians 4, be angry, but sin not. Don't miss the mark. Think about what you got to do. Think about what you're going to do, and get your butt up and regroup. You know what I'm saying? So it was that righteous anger that I had to tap into and not let it continue to be a destructive anger, blaming, talking about all things that could have been or woulda, shoulda. Nobody don't have time for that. It was time to pivot.
I really fell in love with this idea of being a chief operating officer. I didn't know all what it consisted of because I never had a 9-to-5, but I started studying like organizational things and how to operate and how to move. And I started going to work with teens because someone had asked me to come to a school that was an alternative school where kids got kicked out of their high school and they were one step close to the juvenile detention center. And someone directed me to that school. And so what I did was I started taking what she was teaching on Saturday mornings, and I would go in the school and I would teach it without saying anything about God. And the principal and the superintendent started seeing miraculous changes in these children who were they were one step away from literally going to jail. And I was just a mini powerhouse, you know, and so she said, you need to start getting paid for this, because I was doing it for free. And I said, well, we have Dunamis Community Advocate Services. It was a nonprofit. And so she signed me up, you know, to be a vendor, and started writing checks, you know, for me to work in that school. And then I started going in Chicago public schools. Next thing you know, it was over 500, you know, youth within our Dunamis Community Advocate Services. And I turned it into a mentoring program, taking what she was teaching to adults to the children, from 3rd grade all the way up to high school.
I had a request to come and lead a women's ministry in Hoover, Alabama. It was a mega church. This pastor asked me to come and lead his women's ministry, which had thousands of women in it. It did not take root the way that I wanted it to, but it did get me away. It got me away from me to deal with me. It got me away from me to heal my own soul, my own self in ways that I didn't even realize I was damaged. I was broken, I was hurt, because when you keep giving and giving and you're dealing with things in your personal life, you don't tend to you still tend to the people. So that was the best thing that would have ever happened to me, because it gave me 19 months literally to just steal away, leave everything, be in a 2-bedroom apartment in Hoover, Alabama, where I did not know a soul, did not tend to a soul, but I dealt with my own soul.
So this was our first time deciding to do a Dunamis Woman conference, and we felt like it was the right time to have a conference. We brought in a lot of speakers. Actually, Jamal was supposed to speak at that conference, and he actually showed up. and I had to send them back home because we couldn't pay them. And you know, in that room it was 12 women, but I had like over 200 something teens who were there competing for the pageant. But teens don't have money, right? So this was all sponsored by myself, sponsored by the things that I was getting through the you know, Chicago Public Schools. So they were low income, you know, students. Their parents were trusting me with their life, getting them on a bus, coming there. Their parents didn't even come to see them. And so they were literally all under my auspices. Like I said, it was constant, Miss Ariel, Miss Ariel. And I remember this one mother, and she said, "You have the grace that I've never seen before to literally tend to all these teens, to have a white man standing in the corner asking for $25,000 every 10 minutes, overcharging your card, having it get shut down, to still having to turn down speakers because you can't pay them. And our main speaker said, it's okay. You don't have to pay me the rest." I didn't know what to do. And I didn't come to her because that was something that I wanted, right? Something that I desired, something I wanted to see. But the teens couldn't let you see you cry. You know, the women, you couldn't let them see you cry. It was just, you have to suck it up and you have to keep going, and you had to crown all of them and smile and make it seem like it was okay. And to me, it was just very embarrassing. But at the end of the day, like I said, it was just the most amazing experience to propel me and fortify me to say, I have to make this big, because I will never be in this position again. I will never, ever be in this position again. And we never were, so it was good. We are here at the original Healing House, as you can probably tell, and talk about that. This is where it began, you all. Oh my God.
So the reality of it is when you've been given a vision, you don't always see the provision. You have to create the provision. So my mind was, since I can't pay for this house, I'll make it a healing house. The women I set up the living room, the dining room at that time, put chairs in there, and people would come every Saturday morning, and more would come for the emotional healing clinics. And because they were hurting, some of them was struggling, just like I was financially, and so it became the transitional healing house. You can come in and transition out. All did not stay, but some did. That's how the concept of the House of Healing began, or Healing House began. The other part of it is that I ended up going to court for like 7.5 years straight. And every time I went there, the judge said, case dismissed, case dismissed, case dismissed. I didn't pay a mortgage for 7.5 years because I didn't have a mortgage to pay. And I literally heard the Holy Spirit in that courthouse say, no one can take from you what I gave you, you gotta give it up. And I went downstairs to litigations and I said, I'm giving you all this house. I don't know who it go to, but don't call me, I'm giving it up. And that's how I end up leaving that house, literally and permanently. And I said, but one day I'm gonna have a house of healing.
What happens here?
Healing. Literally, emotional healing, spiritual healing, mental healing. People, particularly women, are dealing with a lot in their soul. And your soul consists of your mind and emotions. So House of Healing really gets into the depths of your soul. You know, so many things have impacted us, but we also in this world are deeming more on mental health, but I also look at emotional health, and that emotional health is key for a woman. When I designed every room, I had intimacy in mind. You know, so you have the master bedroom where it's predominantly spacious, but a lot of people, the women just flock in there, you know what I'm saying? Sitting on the floor, sitting on the couch, sitting on the bed, you know, just getting to know one another, you know, sharing. We'd be surprised when you go deep down in the soul, everybody looks the same. We just looking on the outward appearance and make us look different. So when they get to saying, wow, this is why I'm here, and I would have never thought that about you, and I would have never thought that about you, it creates a bond.
I think if anyone has been on a teaching with us at Dunamis Woman, we always dissect or, you know, break down movies. Especially me, but one of the favorite movies that she always talks about is Know Who You Are from Lion King. And I'm like, oh my God. So everyone knows that we love movies and we'll use movies to break down different principles based upon the kingdom. And so I always love talking about, you know, Disney to Dunamis, so I break down like Disney movies. So in that theater, they come and they watch and dissect movies. It's a part of their lesson and a part of their healing. And then we break it down even further from the things that you can't see. And women always say, I can't watch a movie just regular anymore after being around you all, because there's always a man behind a film. There's always someone, their idea, their mind behind the film. And if you just watch it for entertainment, you're gonna miss the actual message and the principle from what you should be receiving. And so they watch it, they go through therapeutic coaching, some critical thinking exercises, and really bringing it home on how does that relate back to your life and the message in which you should have gotten.
My whole life is centered around these women. When I say centered, these are my relationships. I don't have girlfriends outside of that. But for them to be able to accept me as woman, not just, Pastor D. You know, I don't mind showing my wounds. I don't mind being transparent. I don't mind letting them see inside of me as though I see inside of them. So for them to even draw close, say, I want to move, you know, many of them have moved from other states. You know, their husbands say, hey, whatever you want, you know, let's go. You know, that's an honor. You know what I'm saying? So it's a rich relationship, and sometimes I don't know how to handle that because it's mind-blowing, you know, particularly black women, particularly that. And we have laughs and good times, but they also see me as a leader that they respect. But what all of them say is they've never experienced any pastor like that, you know? And so for them to leave their own country, leave their own hometown, leave their children to come and say, I want more. It's really, really mind-blowing. Yeah, but it's an honor.
Honestly, in our relationship, I never really saw us doing, I'm not gonna cry, yes, doing life together. I thought I was just an aid of supporting her and my stepdad. But I never thought any further to say, like, this is gonna be her and I, like, riding this thing, you know? Finding my own self, finding me walking in my own path. Of course, she's the visionary, the leader. But then it also helped me see her from a spiritual leader in such a completely different perspective. It's different when she's your mother and she's also, you know, your pastor, but to see the gift that God has given her and the spiritual leadership that she has impact the world. You know, you asked me about the 10-year vision, and I also see from a ministry standpoint, you know, really taking that realm and that ownership that she has in the kingdom from a spiritual standpoint to say, this is who God made her to be, with no apology. No, she's not like any other pastor. No, she's not like what you typically are used to, but she is needed for this day and age. And to see 95,000 women who actually want to be a part of what she's doing, to me is like, I see why God created her the way that, you know, he created her. And so that, it's just been mind-blowing. It's an honor, honestly, because most people, they don't have a mom like that, let alone a leader like that. And people always say, Ariel, you know, what makes you so unique? What makes you so different from other women, even in your generation? It's having a mom like that. Because that foundation and seeing that impact is huge. So, I'm not gonna be a boohoo crybaby, but yeah, that's the big impact.
I didn't have that with my mother. She was a disciplinary, structured. She had to be, raising 6 children. I'm the 5th one by herself. I believe that that's why I'm such the leader that I am today. but we didn't have that relationship. And I always wanted to give Ariel and Allison what I did not have. So why do I want to be the same? So for her to even choose to come and work with this vision with me, it was a heart's desire, not for just her, but for Allison as well, because where do we see as a Black mother passing down legacy? You know, do I want to put my children in the hands of the wolves who can just get rid of them whenever they want to? You know, do greater than me. You know, that's what we're supposed to do. Every generation is supposed to do greater. But the relationship is just truly mind-blowing. We went to Egypt with Impact Travel not too long ago, and they put us in separate rooms, you know, and I'm like, where's Ariel? You know what I mean? Usually, you know, we travel together, you know, she takes care of me, you know, literally, you know, Ma, I got you, you know, checked in, I got you this and whatever. But to be in a separate room with her, I felt like I was missing a part of me, because that's the first time that had really ever happened. You know what I mean? And it's just, we just have a bond, you know. Do we get on each other's nerve? I'm sure, you know, she get on mine, I get on hers, but that is a bond. You know what I'm saying? So I am blessed. Let me just sum it up with that. I am amazingly, truly blessed.
All right, give it up for her. All right, now, we had something special, right? Big news we want to share with y'all. Can we share big news? You know, I stay with it. Well, maybe new people don't know. Man, I stay with a surprise or two in my pocket. All right.
I met Lamar actually through our Dunamis Woman and Real Authoritative, it was Real Awesome Men magazine at that time. And I featured someone on the cover, and they gave us contacts of people who were in Atlanta to also be inside features. And so I interviewed Lamar and Ronnie with Black and Married with Kids, and I was just in awe of what they were doing. And so that's how I got wind of like who Lamar was. It was 2017. I remember being in my dad's basement. I saw TSP Live 2017 pop up. It was 2 weeks before the event. Matter of fact, I had to be in my friend's wedding. And I got on the plane and I went to Atlanta, and it wasn't until I was there that my friend was like, "You come to the wedding?" And I was like, oh no, like I totally forgot. I was like, well, I'm here and I'm gonna give it my all. And so I was there, and I felt like I was the youngest person in the room. Honestly, I think I really was the youngest person in the room. But I was on food stamps, and I remember sharing a room with two women I didn't even know. I remember going out to dinner with two gentlemen who were able to give me a meal. They had no clue that I was struggling. And I knew Jamal from back home in Chicago, and I remember seeing him get that award and talking about food stamps to 6 figures, and I was like, that's gonna be me. At that time, it was just this level of execution and wanting to get something done in a world that I knew nothing about. Didn't know the terminology, didn't know about anything about marketplace or marketing. And when they opened up the doors to the mastermind, I just was like, we gotta join. And I remember calling her, and I called my credit card company, and I just was like, give me a little grace here. And I made that first payment, and I was like, you just gotta trust me. This is where we need to be. And I joined TSP in June, and that was the beginning.
I'd like to introduce you to the new owners of blackandmarriedwithkids.com.
Tell me what it meant to you when it was announced that you bought Black and Married with Kids.
When I first graced that platform as a client, being with Lamar and Ronnie Tyler, it never ever imagined that I would be the owner. It was just passed down to me. That's how I see it. I know it was an acquisition, but I saw it as, I'm trusting you all that you can handle it based upon how it was founded. You know what I mean? And to me, that was an honor. So now, being owners of Black and Married with Kids, I felt the pressure. But it was a good pressure, because I know that my heart is for us as a people, and my heart really is about relationships, and so I just want to see it thrive, put the work in, and we have we had some clients that come in from Black and Married with Kids to Dunamis Woman. So it's one and the same, really, to me. Yeah, it's just another opportunity to reach more.
And I believe the power of the TSP community is sometimes people need to live vicariously through your life and see that it's possible. And you never know who you're impacting. You never know what your drive is doing for someone else. And I believe that seeing that moment be on stage between her and myself, but then to see everyone in the audience who has been watching our journey from the beginning, or maybe even hearing it for the first time, but can say, that is me. And that's kind of how I came in, right? Like seeing that person on stage get that Freedom Award, 6 figures of food stamps. And I think that's the power of having the community, because it's not just, oh, we're here to get rich or to, get out of debt or make money. It's really here seeing Black people create a life that was told to me was completely impossible. What do I want to see in 5 or 10 years with Dunamis Woman? For me, predominantly, I do want to see not just us having the House of Healing, but I do want to see a space, whether it's a center where women can come and they can learn. I honestly would love to see, I don't know if it's 10 years, but a real university. Like I want a real, actual campus where it's a university, it's a church, it's a community center. It's really building something tangible that people can actually see and be and stay there if they wanted to. Because some women are starting their life all over again. Yeah. And doesn't matter what age that you are, that you really want to rebuild. So that's one thing that I do see. I really do also see Dunamis Woman really taking the messages and the transformation of women's lives and putting that on film. And I would just say business-wise, I'll go back to owning that commercial real estate magazine. Seeing commercial buildings and properties to me said, I really want to own a commercial building where we can have our staff, we can have our team, we can run things the way that we desire, different departments, different programs, maybe even bring in other different tenants that want to start a business. For me, I would love to see that commercial building where we can truly operate as a faith-based business and be proud about it, and not shy away or apologize or make any type of reservation of why we can be in ministry and in the marketplace, and we can also empower other women to, lead, and men lead their own lives and their own visions in their business.